Okay, well, there's Rocky. There he is. And he's got his arse resting on my arm here. So hello from Rocky's arse. Here we go now. It looks like he's got a big arm growing out of his anus. It's kind of weird. Anyway, some weird hybrid creature with like an anus arm. Yes, it's a new appendage, I guess, of some sort. Anyway, um, there he is. Anyway, quite a cat, I'll tell you. Hello. Hey, Rocky. My goodness, there we go. Yep. He's actually putting my arm to sleep, he is. With his, because he's heavy, he's a big boy. He is. Okay, up, Rocky, I'm gonna move you over a bit, sweetheart. There you go. There you go. There you go, hey? That's better. He's giving me a look now. He said, what the, what did you do that for, you asshat? Look at the look I'm getting. But he was putting my arm to sleep. I don't have very good circulation, and when he does that, he puts my limbs to sleep. He does. Hey, there he is. Hello, Rocky. Oh, you're funny. He's funny. He is. He's a good boy, though. He is. He's a good boy. He's just not too happy with me right now for displacing him like I did. Anyway. Oh, I got stuff happening on phones here. This is like wild. Alright, I don't know what just happened there. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, anyway, that I wanted to mention or to talk about. It's another thing that's crossed my mind. Over the years, it's crossed my mind, and I think it's one of the issues we have with society. There's a couple of things, really. One thing is accountability. I've noticed that the people with the most power seem to have the least accountability for their actions, and the people with the least power seem to be held to account the most. So if you're in a position in society where your actions can have a huge effect on other people, where you can pretty well ruin another person's life through your actions, then it seems that you're not really held to account. But if you're some poor bugger that's just barely making it, and then there's severe consequences to any action for you if you don't act exactly the way that you're expected to act. You're held to account in a big way then. Well, he's kind of back on my arm again, but not like he was. I can cope with that. I think we've come to a compromise, eh, Rocky? Yes. Rocky says, I'm going to have my arse on your arm, and that's just how it's going to be. But I won't have my entire arse on your arm, so that I'll leave a little bit of your arm arse free, so that the blood can sort of kind of circulate. So there's a compromise. See, we get along well because we work together and we compromise on these things. Rocky wants his arse on my arm, and I want to be able to feel my left hand. And so we've come to a compromise. Rocky's arse is on my arm, and I can still feel my left hand. So it's all good. Yeah, see, that's what he's doing. He's just got his arse on my arm there, but not to the degree he added. So my blood can still circulate a bit. Hey, he's quite a cat. Anyway, I've noticed this, that those who have the power in society aren't held to account like the powerless are. And that just seems wrong to me somehow. And what I've noticed too is that people who have power, it's a common theme that people who have power seem to want to have more power. The power they have isn't enough. They need more, you know. And along with that power, they want less accountability. And society, for the most part, supports that. You know, it's a strange kind of a thing. I just figure that the amount of power a person has and the amount of accountability for their actions um, that they're subjected to should be commensurate with each other. The more ability I have to screw you up through my position in life, the more accountable I should be. You know, that just makes sense to me. I don't know why society operates the way it does, other than the fact that we are living in a fallen world, and it makes about as much sense as most things. Really, there's very little in this world that really makes sense, you know, and that's just one thing. Our prime minister, this is a good one. He's taxing us to death. This carbon tax that he has on us now, it's choking us to death. People can't afford even the basics of life. People can't afford to eat. People can't afford fuel to heat their homes. People can't afford to drive vehicles. People can't afford, you know, anything. Like, it's terrible. And the thing is, though, when you file your taxes, um, then you put in for these carbon tax rebates, and they'll send you a few $100s if you're a family. You know, if you're the head of a family, they'll send you a few $100s every few months. That's supposed to offset the carbon tax. And he claims that people are better off, that people have more money now than they did before the carbon tax because of these carbon tax rebates. It makes absolutely no sense. Um, you know, if somebody steals $3,000 from you, but they give you 1,500 of that back, and then they tell you that you are actually better off, you have more money now because I gave you that 1,500 back of the 3,000 I stole from you. You know, you'd tell them they're full of you know what. And, you know, that's what the Prime Minister's doing to us. He's gaslighting us. But it's amazing the number of Canadians who, oh, he's giving us money. He's giving us this carbon rebate. The government's going to give us, you know, they're so generous, they're going to give us. No, no, no. You know, no, that's not what's happening here. You're getting robbed. You're getting robbed. They're making it harder for you to live. That's what's happening. You know? And they're giving you a little bit back just to placate you because there's more of you than there are of them. And they're afraid of you. That's one of the reasons they want to kill 95% of the world's population. These people, these elites, and these people in government and the World Economic Forum and people like Bill Gates. And, you know, that's the reason for that. They're afraid. My great uncle, I have a great uncle who was, I have a few great uncles who were in the war, but there's one in particular that I know some of his war stories because he didn't like to talk about those things. Like most people who were there don't like to talk about those things, but he did share some things with my dad who then passed the stories on to me, so I do know some of it. My dad, I think, was the only person he ever really opened up to about it. But one of the things that my great uncle Bill had to do is he worked in a prisoner of war camp for a while. It was an old prison. I don't know where it was. It was somewhere in Europe anyway. and they basically commandeered this penitentiary over there, and they turned it into a prisoner of war camp. And my great uncle Bill, he worked there for a little while. He had to take his turn working there. They used to rotate the guys through there. And Bill was one of the ones, anyway, who served as a guard there for a while. Hated it. Absolutely hated it, you know. And he had told my dad that prisoners, that the prisoners outnumbered the guards by quite a bit. The guards were really outnumbered, and the prisoners could have taken the place any time. The only advantage the guards had over the prisoners is the guards had the weapons. The guards had the firearms. That was it. Otherwise, that was all the guards had going for them, is they had the firearms and the prisoners didn't. But the prisoners could easily have taken that place. A lot, there would have been some killed. They wouldn't have got it all for nothing. But if they had decided to revolt, they could have taken that place and away from the guards easily. Although, like I say, they would have suffered some casualties, at least in the beginning. They still could have done it. And the thing is, whenever they got a prisoner who was a leader amongst the men and who, wasn't complying with them and so on, with the guards and so on, and seemed like he could encourage the men to revolt, they couldn't have that, because if the men revolted, it would be real bad. And so, they were afraid of the men. They were afraid of the men they had prisoner there, because the men they had prisoner there vastly outnumbered them, and they were terrified of a revolt. And so what they would do is, a guy like that was a leader amongst the other men, and that was being defiant and so on, they'd take that guy for a walk back in the woods. They'd take him back to a pit they had back in the woods, and they'd shoot him. They'd just shoot him to death, get rid of him. And I believe the people who run the world right now are terrified of us, because people are beginning to wake up and realize how badly we've been screwed over. And they know that. And it's like the jig is up. The people, they may very well revolt and overthrow us. And then what do?